Hey, Facebook live stream viewers, welcome. We are so glad to have you here with us today. You're backstage with Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. And this is my guest today, Eileen Mendel, who is a business strategist who takes businesses to a whole nother level. But her business is called The Balanced Millionaire. So we're going to find out if it's possible to actually be a millionaire and be balanced. Welcome, Eileen.
Thank you so much, Paula. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cool. And Eileen, just a little sneak peek. Is it possible to be a millionaire and be balanced?
I certainly believe it is.
Okay. All right. So stay with us. Eileen will be joining us in just a little while. We're just getting ready. Remember now, you're backstage, so this is not a polished production. You're going to see us chatting in between segments and doing what we need to do to record a radio show. All right, thanks for joining us. Here we go. Okay. All right, we'll roll you out. Yeah, not so easy. Those chairs are a little heavy. All right. And I think I'll put my glasses on here so I can actually see my notes. Okay, so Facebook live stream viewers, we're starting over now, just like we would be starting the radio show. Here we go. Welcome to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. We are delighted you're here today. We've got a great show. Our guest, Eileen Mendel, will be talking to us about balanced millionaires. I'm calling this show Balanced Millionaire, Holy Grail or Everyday Tale. Somehow, I think a lot of us think it seems impossible to be a millionaire, to be doing all the things that you need to do to be a millionaire and be balanced. It kind of seems like your whole life would have to be work, 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 work. But our guest today, Eileen Mendel, is going to tell us ways that a person or that a business can be $1 million business, and everybody can actually have great, satisfying, and balanced lives. So please stay with us. She will be joining us just a little later in the show. So those of you who are new, welcome. And those of you who have been with us for a while, you know here at Change It Up Radio, we're all about change. I'm Paula Shaw. I'm a life transitions therapist, so I work with people who are going through change. I am also an author and a speaker. And these books, Grief, When Will This Pain Ever End? Chakras, The Magnificent Seven. And my latest book, Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say. These are the 3 books that I've written. We're especially excited right now about saying the right thing when you don't know what to say. In fact, the book was launched in the fall, and it's doing very well. We've got a lot of great reviews on Amazon, so I encourage you all to grab your copy. It's a short read, but I call it the little book with a big punch. It's got a lot of important points that can help you navigate difficult conversations in a very clear, simple way. I even give you lists of things that are helpful to say and things that are not helpful to say when you are having a difficult conversation. And for those people who may be going through a tough time, who are so often inadvertently abused by the things people say when they're trying to be helpful, I even give you a list of responses that can help you to take care of yourself and also be appreciative that people are trying to be helpful. Because one of the things we found is nobody sets out to try to hurt somebody in a difficult conversation. But it often happens because people just don't know what to say. And that's the whole reason that I wrote this book. Because after 27 years of sitting in my office talking to people who were going through tough times and hearing them say things like, nobody called, or nobody showed up. Nobody brought it up. And I know the reason that happens, it's because they don't know what to say. And so you just kind of keep avoiding the situation. But then that leaves the person who's hurting all alone, trying to cope by themselves. So actually, in that effort, I've created an online course, which we have going right now. We're in week 4. It's a 5-week course, and we will be starting a new segment of that course in March. So I wanted to tell you just a little bit about that course today. But first, I want to encourage you, if you would like to find out more about my work, because what I do in my practice is not just traditional talk therapy. I use the tools of energy psychology and other mind-body tools, mindfulness tools, work with the subconscious mind, neuroscience is one of my favorites. All of these wonderful tools we have available now really help people to move through their issues and move through change more smoothly and more rapidly. So I highly, highly recommend that if you'd like to learn more, you go to paulashaw.com. Very simple, paulashaw.com. And if you'd like to hear past episodes of this radio show, and we've just had some amazing guests over the years, please go to changeitupradio.com. You can also get information there about being a guest on this show or a sponsor of this show or advertising on this show. So that's changeitupradio.com. Okay, now let me tell you a little bit about this online course. Strangely enough, it's being called Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say. And it's a 5-week course. We're going to be doing it on Zoom, which is actually working out really well. If you're not familiar with Zoom as an online platform, it's amazing because you can see people or they can turn their cameras off. So it's almost truly like being a group sitting together in the same room, only everybody can sit there in their jammies and their slippers and these days maybe a little blanket around you as well since it's been so chilly. But so we meet once a week. We're meeting right now on Wednesday evenings at 6 o'clock, and the next group is scheduled to be on Wednesday evenings as well. Now, if that doesn't work for you or, life gets in the way and you have to miss a week, we are recording every class, and the recordings are sent to all the class members after we complete that evening. So let me tell you a little bit about what we cover. The first week, we talk about why is it that we don't know what to say? Why do we have such a hard time? It's so easy to talk about the football game or the latest fashion, but we have a really hard time when we're talking about people's feelings or when people are very emotional. So we're going to look at that. We look at what are all the kinds of factors that influence how we communicate and what we think is okay and what we don't think is okay. So those are factors like family values, family experiences, cultural norms, peer expectations. So we're going to explore how those different things impact what we believe is the correct and the not so correct way to communicate. In week 2, we will be looking at what are we afraid of? Why is it so hard for people to step up and have those difficult conversations? And we're going to look at 3 other major areas that impact how we respond and react in life. And those 3 areas are our present life experiences and any traumas that we may have experienced, our limiting subconscious beliefs, which are tricky because they're subconscious, so we don't even know we have them. And then one of the latest things we've learned from epigenetics is that we also inherit the genetic signatures of how our ancestors responded in life. So we really get into that and take a look at who we are, where did we come from, and how is that impacting how we are responding and communicating in our lives today. Then one of my favorite weeks, we look at the 5 steps of successful, important communication. And those 5 steps are simple, they're clear, but they make all the difference in the world in whether or not a communication is abusive or whether it's effective and supportive and even comforting. So we take a look at that. The next week, we not only look at what are the kinds of things that are helpful to say and the kinds of things that are not helpful to say, we also look at the 4 personality types, behavioral types, as designated by the DISC system. And then we look at how do we then, knowing those types, how do we communicate with those types more effectively? How do we know where to come from ourselves to be better communicators? And then finally, in week 5, we're going to do some review. We're going to just kind of mastermind together, look at individual circumstances that different members of the group are dealing with, and work together to figure out the best ways to handle those difficult communications for the group members. So I'm very excited about it. All the people that are in the present group are really loving it and finding it very valuable and finding that it's really impacting the way they conduct themselves in their families, in the workplace, and with their friends. So saying the right thing when you don't know what to say, the online course will start another round in the 2nd week of March, and I'm thinking it's the 12th, but the date is not clear in my brain right now. But if you go to our Change It Up Radio Facebook page or to Paula Shaw Facebook page, we'll have all the information posted there. You can also call the studio here or reach me at paulashaw.com if you'd like information about the course. Now, we are getting ready in our next segment to answer some emails from people who have started reaching out to me to ask their specific questions about what is the right thing to say in certain circumstances. So in just a few moments, when we come back from this break, we will be answering some email questions about saying the right thing when you don't know what to say. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay. Now, headphone time. So Facebook live stream viewers, we're just going to bring in my show producer, Todd James, right now, asking the questions. So I'm putting my headphones on. Hi, Todd. There you are. Okay. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let me just grab a sip of water. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start this thing. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. In this segment, we are going to be answering some emails from people who have questions about saying the right thing in those difficult situations, saying the right thing when you just don't know what to say. So my show producer, Todd James, will be reading the questions, and hopefully I'll be answering them.
Yes,
Okay,
Paula,
Todd.
we've got a couple emails today. The first one reads, Dear Paula, this is probably not the first email you've gotten from someone who was disappointed that one more Valentine's Day was a big dud. Well, that sucks. I've been there too. So my husband doesn't seem to get it. He brings flowers from the grocery store that he got at last minute. He does nothing romantic and really doesn't make me feel special. I know he loves me and he thinks he's remembering me by coming home with flowers and candy, but that's not what I want. How do I tell him what would make me feel happy and special without hurting his feelings or starting World War II? And that's from Sherry.
From Sherry?
Or Cherie. I'm sorry.
Cherie. Okay. Cherie. Wow. This is like reading a chapter out of my own life. Oh my God. How many years did my husband come home with flowers from the grocery store? Or sometimes maybe change it up with a little plant. And it was always so disappointing. And of course, rarely was there a dinner plan. Rarely was there any kind of a thoughtful gift. Now, I will say, to his credit, he didn't buy into Valentine's Day. He thought it was, what did he call it? A greeting card marketing scheme. So it was forcing himself to even try to do something. But my point was, it means something to me. It's a day that's honoring love. It's a day when we're encouraged to take a moment and express our feelings of love for the people that we care about. I think that's very cool. And greeting cards or not, we need to do that more often. We probably should have a Valentine's Day every month so that we all just remember to express those feelings of appreciation to the people in our lives who love us and do so much for us. So, how to tell him that you would like him to step it up a little bit, right, Cherie? Okay, first of all, you don't want to have this conversation when you're irritated or hurt or upset. Because if you come at him from all that emotion and he feels backed in a corner, the claws will come up or his defensiveness will come up and the conversation won't go as well. What I'd recommend to you is, actually, this is a chapter out of my own life too. I finally did this. After years of disappointing Valentine's Day, I finally sat down with my husband over a nice lunch. And while we were talking, and it wasn't near Valentine's Day, it was a couple of months before, I said, hey, let's talk about Valentine's Day. And he said, why would we do that? It's months away. And I said, well, because I thought I'd give you a lot of lead time, knowing the kinds of things I'd love to experience on Valentine's Day. So maybe it could be more like what I fantasize about. So he kind of knew, where I was going with this. But since I approached it with a little humor, he was able to stay in a light, humorous place. And then I just said to him, I really understand that Valentine's Day is not your deal. It's not a day that you really buy into, but it is important to me. And then I told him the reasons why, the things I just shared with y'all. And he got that. He kind of got that. And he goes, well, like, what is it you would want? And I said, well, flowers that come from the florist, so I know that you were thinking about it ahead of time. Dinner somewhere where we needed a reservation. So we're not just grabbing a quick bite together, but maybe it's actually special and romantic. And I said, and that's really kind of all I need. Or maybe that afternoon, if you could take time off, we could have a lunch and then go see a movie, take a walk in the gardens, or just something out of the ordinary that lets me know that you're willing to put some time into making me feel special and appreciated on Valentine's Day. And guess what? The next Valentine's Day, I got real flowers from the florist. He got a reservation at a restaurant that I had even tried to get a reservation at and couldn't. I don't know how he pulled it off, but he did. So ladies, lesson to be learned here. Men are not mind readers, and yet they usually want to please us if they love us. So go ahead and tell them what would feel good to you. This also goes for your birthday, for Christmas, any of those special occasions. Go ahead, give them some good clues, give them information, and chances are much, much more likely that you'll get to have the Valentine's Day of your dreams, or the birthday, or the Christmas. All right. Okay, Todd, have we got another?
If I can hop it in real quick, I just want to give a recommendation.
Sure.
Because sometimes the grocery store flowers are due to budget, But one thing you could do is ahead of time stock up on cheap glass vases and some raffia, because I tell you, take that cellophane off the grocery store flowers, put them in a vase with a little raffia on it, and I think that shows. And they can't tell where you got the flowers, so I think girls will still like it.
That is a beautiful idea. And yeah, you make a good point. It's not that grocery store flowers aren't beautiful flowers, but you're right. If you put them in a special vase or ribbon around them or something like that, that's a brilliant idea, Todd. Thank you for jumping in with that.
And if money is an issue, there are discount warehouse flower warehouse places out there.
Okay.
So you got to find those.
Beautiful.
There you go. See, I know. I've had those issues before, so I know.
And you know what? The point you make is really great, too. It's the thoughtfulness, right? It's not that it's a $50 bouquet. It's the thoughtfulness. So if somebody buys flowers at the grocery store but takes the time to put them in a vase with raffia wrapped around it or ribbon or something, that says I'm special to me.
And it shows that I think, it is very hurtful when you do something last minute. Because it's like, I was just the second thought here at the very end.
Exactly.
You should have been thinking about this a month ago. So
Yes.
stock up on those vases and raffia, guys. All right, Paula, here's
Thank
our
you,
next one.
Todd.
It's a little bit more serious here. So it says, Dear Paula, what do you say to a well-meaning friend who on several occasions has basically tried to tell you how I should be handling my grief over the loss of my husband? I'm very clear that she thinks I should be farther along by now, and that I should be handling it better. I love her, but quite honestly, I want to smack her right now. I can't be where I'm not. Is there some kind of timeline? She also has different spiritual practices from mine, and I feel like she is using this opportunity to try to convert me to her way. How do I express my truth and not lose my friend? Maureen.
Maureen, wow. This is a problem that is so universal. I'm so delighted that you wrote in. Because, first of all, and this gives me an opportunity to say to all of our listeners, there is no right and wrong way to handle your grief. There is no timeline. One person may be fine in a few weeks, and another person may not be fine in a few years. It's all about who we all are individually. And it's all about the relationship that we lost or the circumstances that we lost. And there is no one size fits all when it comes to grief. So my heart is with you, my dear, because yes, you should be allowed to grieve the way you want to grieve. You should be allowed to practice whatever spiritual practices are comfortable for you. And to your friend, I would say, you just have to say to her something like, I know you mean well, and I know you love me, but this is my experience. This is my journey, and I can only do it my way. So please allow that, and don't make me feel judged by you because I'm not doing it your way, because that just divides us and then makes me feel like I'm more alone. I want you by my side, but I need to feel that you're accepting me the way I am, that you're accepting what I do, because it's me, it's what I'm doing. So to let her know that you love her and that you want to feel her love for you is really important. But let her know the parts that don't feel good. And remember, she's coming from love. She's coming from thinking she knows what would be best for you, even though we all know nobody else knows what would be best for us. They may have some ideas, and sometimes they're even good ideas. But we have to check in with ourselves, especially when we're in emotional pain, and decide what we can handle and what we can't handle, and what feels helpful and good and what doesn't. So stand on your own 2 feet. Know that there's nothing you're doing wrong, my dear. It's just that your friend is trying to help you from her perspective, not from yours. And that's what we all have to remember, everybody. And this is one of the things I talk about in this book, Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say. When you sit down to help somebody who's in pain, you have to come from a mindset of just wanting to be supportive and comforting, not fixing or telling them how they should be. All right. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your emails. And we will be back in just a moment with Eileen Mendel and the Balanced Millionaire. We'll be right back. Okay. Roll on in here, girl. I'm going to get my glasses on so I can read your bio. Let's see. We don't need that anymore.
I like that segment, the emails, because you're actually connecting and addressing the audience's concerns.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things, actually, to do.
I don't need this anymore, do I?
Oh, no, you don't. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I won't need mine either. Thank you for that reminder. All right. Okay, got your water, got everything you need? Oh, whoops. Okay. Okay, I've got questions. This I don't need anymore. Okay. All right, my dear, here we go. Now, remember, you want to be talking into that.
Right.
And if you're looking at our Facebook people, that's fine with me because, you know, my ears are still hearing you.
Yes, exactly.
All right, sweetie, here we go. There's always a battle, by the way, Facebook people, because it's a natural thing for humans to want to look at each other when we're talking to each other. But if we don't talk right into this mic, you won't hear us. So we work with that to the best of our ability. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. And as we've all been waiting on the edge of our seats for, we now are in the segment where we are going to be talking with my guest today, Eileen Mendel, who has developed a business called The Balanced Millionaire, whose goal is to assist the management of rapidly growing small and mid-sized firms, mentoring them to develop strategic business and life plans that result in higher performance and greater fulfillment. So it's not just all about the ROI, is it, Eileen?
It's more than that, because if it's just focused on the money piece, you're more likely to fail than to succeed. But if it's focused on a broader picture and serving your clients, as well as serving your internal staff and people and yourself and getting gratification yourself, then you're apt to be more successful with your business.
I love that concept because balance is something that I'm always teaching people too. So before we go any further, let me tell our guests a little bit about you, Eileen, and how you come into all this knowledge. Eileen Mendel is an executive business strategist and one of the few certified life mastery consultants in the world. She started the Balanced Millionaire to work with the management of these firms to develop strategic business plans, as we were saying, that not only create success in the business, but success in life. She holds a master's degree in marketing from MIT Sloan School, and she currently hosts her own podcast called The Balanced Millionaire. And I have been a guest on that show, and I can tell you something about this woman. One of the ways that I see her brilliance is in having been a guest on her show, she really listens to what you say, and then she synthesizes it and gives it back to you in her own words, and then asks you questions based on that, which I love that style of interviewing, and I praise you, Eileen, because you're great at it. So Eileen is going to tell us now how you can grow a successful business with greater passion, creativity, and, get a load of this, reduced stress. Who would have thunk it was possible? So, Eileen, what motivated you to start this particular business? Because you've done a great many things. Your bio was so long that I figured there wouldn't be time for the interview if we didn't get going.
Yes, I do have a variety of experiences in my life. I actually have several businesses that I've grown and been successful in growing, as well as being an inside management of a big company as well as some smaller companies. So I just took and synthesized everything that I've learned from working with smaller companies as well as inside the companies, what their needs are, how their systems are set up and processes. And I realized that I enjoy helping smaller businesses grow. And I also saw from my own experience that when I was inside a smaller business, there was a lot of excitement and there was a lot of inspiration. When I was in a larger business, I felt that a lot of that inspiration and motivation and wanting to make a change and do something good for humanity was lost in the larger business. So my focus has been to help smaller businesses keep that energy and that inspiration and drive going, but at the same time understanding that starting a business is very, very successful. I know you have your own business, Paula, so you would agree that getting the groundwork done and getting the business started is one of the toughest things anybody can do.
Absolutely.
Once you start getting the momentum, then things start happening. But in the very beginning, it's extremely stressful because you're trying to create your product. You're also trying to provide good service. You're out there marketing. You're out there watching your budget and your finances. You're playing so many roles that it's my thought was, and my belief is that if you have a mentor supporting you and backing you up, you are apt to be and you are going to be more successful with support than without it. And that's why I started my business, because I saw that need as more and more individuals are leaving corporations, are being laid off, or these corporations perhaps are not suiting them, and so they are just feeling that they're not living. Individuals are not living their purpose. They're growing their own businesses, maybe in their garage or in their private office in their homes, and they need connection also, so that they get the feedback as to how their business is growing and if they're going in the right direction. But at the same time, they need the time to balance their life and stay grounded and focused on what their goals are.
So let's look at that piece, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people with, working on their own businesses. And the biggest thing, and one of the reasons they come to me, is they're exhausted. They're overwhelmed. They're wondering if they made a mistake doing this in the first place. What do you do about that, Eileen?
That is one of the most common things that I hear with my own clientele. I'm everywhere. I am doing so many things. I would love to have help, but I don't know if I can bring in the income to bring in either a contractor or hire somebody to help me out. So there's this, this disorientation and discomfort that creates. And so my thought is, first of all, you have to have something in writing, a vision of where you're going.
Like a mission statement?
Like a mission statement.
Okay.
Where you know where you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years, so you can review that, and that is going to keep you centered and realizing that you're making those steps forward, or you're getting distracted and you're moving away from that. So I recommend everyone keep a log or a journal that states where they want to be in 3 to 5 years, what that looks like, what that feels like, what their product or service is going to look like, because that's going to keep them focused. And take the time during the day, and I also do it at morning and night, to contemplate on what are my real goals here? Did I lose sight of my goals? Am I on track? And realize, allow your connection, what I call connection to your higher self or your subconscious, to revisit what are you doing that's creating stress? Is it something that's going to be important and meaningful to your business? Or is it something that somebody suggested, oh, why don't you blog on Facebook, or why don't you, make some posts, etc., that may not be getting you in the right direction. It may be, a lot of likes, but it's not getting you the clients that you really want.
That's a great point. Great point. So you're saying so many good things. So I'd like to comment on a couple. First of all, I love this idea of having the in writing what your dream is, what your goal is, because what I know from the work that I do in energy psychology is, first of all, writing something down makes it way more concrete. And if you read that out loud even every day, it adds more power to it. And whatever we focus on, we feed energy to. And whatever we feed energy to grows. So I love that you're actually suggesting this kind of structured focus every day on the goal, the dream, right? The other thing that you said that I loved, that I think so important, because I'm still getting caught up in this, Eileen. It's like you sit down with one person who's successful, and they tell you, oh, I've gotten all my clients on Facebook, and the Facebook posting is so great. And then you talk to somebody else, and it was advertising on the radio. And then somebody else is doing this, and it's like, oh, I guess I should be doing that, and that, and that, and that. And then you feel so overwhelmed, you want to just put the covers over your head and go, I can't do it all, which you can't. So how do you, I love what you said, that you have to kind of be discerning and discriminating, I think, about what you choose to do, and then monitor. Is that what you're saying? Monitor whether or not that's working?
Exactly. It's just like when you're driving a car, you need to stay in your lane. Sometimes if you're zoning out, you might go left a little bit, you might go right a little bit.
Yes.
You have to be always consciously aware. Are you in your lane? Are you focused on what your goals are, your longer term goals? And are you making progress in that direction? Or are you going off on a different route off the highway, somewhere else that is going to lead you to no man's land where you didn't want to be, and then you're going to have to backtrack and get back in your lane again and start heading in the right direction. So that's my analogy of, the way it is with business. So you have to stick to where you want to be. And, coming from the transformational side of things and, by my life coaching, you don't focus on the how you're going to get there. Just keep making progress and going step by step in that same direction, very focused, and putting, like you said, you don't want to disperse your energy. You want to keep it very focused so all your energy is moving in one direction.
So let me ask you a question. I know that you're a life mastery consultant. Is this work, this wisdom that you're sharing with us now, is that part of that work?
Yes, what I do is, because I have a background, a master's in business, and I've worked with businesses for 30 years, but I've decided, I made a decision not to get an executive coaching certification, but rather to get a life coaching certification, because I knew that the principles of having belief in yourself, having that courage to step up to the plate are so much more critical than knowing and understanding. And in some cases, people don't realize they're not really implementing what they've learned. And so I see other executive coaches going out there and doing trainings and teaching, and some of it is absorbed and embedded in the person, and some of it just flies right by. So what I need to work with and understand is the mindset to begin with of the client that I'm working with, and training them to believe in themselves and believe that they can achieve their goals. And that is so critical, that self-belief and the belief that you're good enough to step up to the plate and do what you want to do in life and achieve those, that purpose that you've set out to deliver to the rest of humanity. So that's a very, very big piece of scaling your business, is being confident in what you are able to do and confident that you can do it, and that you, even if you misstep and fail at various junctures, that you can always get back on track. It's not the end of the world.
I love that idea that you're speaking about, because it's sort of what I would call the core of strength that can carry you through, because stuff doesn't always go well. So in just a moment, when we come back from this break, we're going to learn some more nuggets about how to be a balanced millionaire from Eileen Mendel. We'll be right back. Oh, that was great.
Yeah, it was tying into some of the stuff that you teach.
Yes, totally. Yeah, I love that. And it makes so much sense, because it's true. It's not just one area of your life that can make it work. I mean, if you have the funding and the idea and the great product, that's all terrific. But if you don't have the belief and the goal and that focus, then I don't think it's going to come together and be magic.
And there also has to be coming from the heart, and I'll talk about that a little bit too, the passion, because if it's all in the head, which a lot of scientists, run companies that are all in the head, they're looking for perfection, they're looking to create the perfect widget, but then it never gets out on the market.
Exactly.
But if it's in the heart, like they want to serve, well, they're going to be more in a hurry
because that's
to get
more motivation, more strength.
something out in the market to help humanity.
So where do you want to begin? Because this 11 minutes goes by fast, as you just said.
I know.
Where,
I do want to mention a few of the things that I talk about in my ebook, which I will be creating a larger.
Let's open with
book.
the ebook.
Okay.
So we'll get that information out a couple of times.
Okay.
Like where they can go for it.
Right on the homepage of my website.
Yeah, and then so I'm on the ebook.
So they know there's a free offer to get more information.
And then you can, I'll ask you to tell us a little bit about what's in the ebook, and then you can bring up the other stuff that you wanted to get a point
outlined. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I'll just go into some of the tips that I've
highlights and little tips that
they'll
know it's something they want.
And if they want to get it, they'll have the full thing.
Okay, all right, here we go. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. In studio with me today is business strategist and executive consultant Eileen Mendel. I'm going to stop that. Is that right? Executive?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Facebook? We're human here. We don't always do it right. Here we go. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. In studio with me today is Eileen Mendel, who is a business strategist and an executive consultant who helps take businesses to the next level. And I'm going to add, and also make sure that the people who run that business don't go crazy in the process. She has a business called The Balanced Millionaire, and she's all about helping businesses achieve success, but still have quality of life. And I think that sounds like the search for the Holy Grail. So let's continue talking about that.
Well, in my experience, and I am an advocate of Michael Gerber, the E-Myth, that you want to work on your business instead of in your business.
Yes.
Most people who are creating their businesses treat the business as if they're the key employee, and then they approach their customer as if they're a subcontractor and they are the sole, proprietor and subcontractor of the business, rather than approaching the business, I'm the CEO, I'm building something much bigger. What my company does is this, and this is our mission.
Mm-hmm.
So that has to be out there and clear to the marketplace that here's how we differ, here's how we differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. And it's not, I am not just a subcontractor to fill in for a worker that you don't have right now in place in your company. Mm-hmm. We are a service business, or we're a product business, whether it's IT or stress management, coming into a company, you want to present yourself as a company that is capable of delivering not just one thing, but an array of products or services that are related to each other that are going to fulfill the needs of your client.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're going to ask me about my ebook.
I am. In fact, I was just looking at my notes to see the name of it because it ties in so well with everything you're saying. So you do have a free ebook that you're offering our listeners, and it's on what website, Eileen?
It's on the homepage of my website, www.thebalancedmillionaire.com.
Thebalancedmillionaire.com. And this book is called The Secrets to Spur High Business Growth That No One Talks About. Cool. Well, what kinds of secrets do we have in that book, Eileen?
Well, as I mentioned, you're always going to get out there into the public realm, presenting yourself as the leader and CEO of your company. Not as I do this, I do that. So that's very important to think of yourself as a leader and CEO. It's a different kind of mindset than I am a writer and I can come in and write some copy for you.
I see.
I am a copywriter, or my firm is a copywriting firm that works with your marketing department. Is a better mindset.
And that's also very clear.
Exactly.
That much clearer than I'm a writer.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So my advice is you want to get yourself out there. You also want to understand who are your constituents, who are the people that are following you. So are they in a certain group or community? Are they reading a certain type of material? So my first tip is make friends with the press. So anybody who's writing about your area of focus for your company, whether you produce a widget or whether you're producing a service, you want that journalist to write a story about you, and a lot of times they will, free of charge, to, for instance, their business readers in a business journal or a professional journal will write about you.
I've heard too, it's really a good thing if something that's trending or that's actually happening, bless you, in the real world has to do with your business. That's kind of a prime time to approach somebody, isn't it?
Exactly. If you have something timely to say about something that is going on that your company will address or has addressed or is going to address, you want to get in contact with the news media and get that out there that you're an expert in that area.
That's a great piece of advice. And I mean, it's like, it's your moment. Go for it, right?
Exactly. So you just have to be acknowledge and be aware of what is going on in the environment in your space, and take that opportunity when you can.
Okay. And another tip.
Another tip is, as you know, podcasting is becoming more and more popular, more popular than blogging, more popular than other forms of connecting to the public, such as sending out emails, because people don't have time to sit at the computer all day and watch webinars or read blogs. They want the information really quickly. People have ADHD, as we know.
And usually they want it while they're doing something else.
Right.
So
At
they
can
the
multitask.
Yeah. Driving to work.
Which is what I do. When I'm driving or when I'm cleaning the house, I'll put on a podcast.
Exactly.
I'll listen. So what you would like to do in this world that we live in is become a guest on podcasts, and that gives you the worldwide exposure. If your client is more than local and it's international, you want to get on podcasts. And what happens in podcasts, they're produced like this one, produced live, and then they're aired again, and they're archived.
Right. That's the magic right there.
The magic is it's always available and archived, whereas a webinar, you have to show up on time.
Yes.
Otherwise, you miss the webinar or you miss the replay.
Exactly.
It's not always present for you to tap onto and listen at will.
And tell the listeners what your show is called, and what do you talk about on your show?
My show is called The Balanced Millionaire, which is the same name as my company. That came first. Actually, the show came first, and the idea to use that name for my website and branding just grew out of that. And what I talk about in the show is I talk about the 4 areas that, in order to keep balance, you need to be aware of what things you can do to grow your company, scale your company, such as M&As, alternative funding, creating the right culture to bring in, your hirees. There's also the health side that I talk about, which is when you're stressed out, what can you do?
Yes.
How do you manage the stress? What sort of things that are out there, alternative things that are healthy that you can do, such as supplements or diet or just practices that are out there and available, which I'm sure you tell your clients about.
Absolutely.
That are there to keep your health in balance and your body fully healthy and functional, so that you are ready for the next day and the next day and the next day, so you can be around in 5 years from now with your business. The next thing is relationships. A lot of people ignore the relationship part, and they're so busy growing their business and focusing on their business, they don't realize they haven't spent time with their significant others. They haven't spent the time with their friends. They start feeling lonely and isolated, and they have these mental images that nobody loves me anymore.
Yeah.
Because you disconnect from the outside world when you're so focused on a project, on building your business. So we look at ways that you can reconnect and keep in tune with your significant others and your friends and your whatever social activities that you enjoy. And then finally, given that, these social activities, there's the time and money freedom, which means taking a vacation, taking time out.
Enjoying the reason you're doing all
this
work, right?
You're not focused totally on making money, because that will drive you to never take a vacation, never give yourself any breathing room so that you can go out and take a walk in the park, like you had mentioned before, like or go out and just explore, an area, another town that's, nearby you, and spend the day there.
So these are the things, this whole quadrant, all those different areas of our lives have to be working to create that balance that you talk about. And I want to encourage our listeners to go to thebalancedmillionaire.com, get her free ebook, and learn more from this lady who really knows a lot about how to grow that business and keep your life sane. So thank you, Eileen, for being with us today. I so appreciate all you've shared. And thank you to my listeners. And remember that you can hear us on AM 1170 and 96.1 FM Sunday evenings at 9 o'clock. We're on every major podcast platform, including iHeartRadio and Blog Talk. And if you can't remember where we are, just ask Alexa. Thanks for being with us. Don't forget, you can check out more about the show on changeitupradio.com and more about my work on paulashaw.com. And my guest today, Eileen Mendel's website is thebalancedmillionaire.com. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you, Paula.
And that's a wrap. Good job. So time goes fast.
I know.
when you
We
have
covered a lot of ground.
a lot to say,
but I think
right?
I reinforced also some of the things that you do. So it's,
Yeah.
it's like we were reinforcing each other.
I know. I loved it. I thought it went really well. And you're, oh, sorry. I forgot you guys are still there. Thank you for being with us, Facebook live stream viewers. And we will look forward to seeing you again next week at noon on Tuesday for the next episode of Change It Up Radio. So check out Eileen's work, her website, get that book. I think it sounds like a must-do. I'm going to be on there getting my copy today.
We have seven areas that we cover, and I will be expanding on that as well in the future.
Cool. Very good. All right. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week.